What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Who's Who 74. We back with another one. And what that is, another wonderful session of One Piece. We gon' flame up, relax, kick back, and we gonna review this chapter this week. We doing One Piece chapter 1144. There was there a break last week? I think no, it wasn't no break last week. So we diving right back in from what we picked up. We diving right back in from where we left off at. That's what I'm gonna say. We already got our blunt roll. We gonna go ahead and stop this music real quick. Last chapter we found out about the Holy Knight's abilities. We found out Saint Summers has the thorn fruit, which is kind of interesting in itself because it's like, is that really that much of a dangerous fruit, or you know, is you is his fruit one of those things where it's like it's dangerous with the trio combination of Gunko and Summers and Killingham, kind of like Shikacho, Ino ability for the most part in the first part of Shippuden, and even for the first part of Naruto, and even in Shippuden, you know, it, sh- it, sh- she got a set up type move. It has to be set up. So it really served no purpose outside of having a team. It served no purpose on the battlefield outside of having a team that can be used to buy you time and to set up and coordinate with. Other than that, she want the her clan weren't really good for nothing but intel and um you know um helping relay messages on the battlefield and stuff like that, communication. So, maybe Saint Summers is one of those type of things. So it's like, is the thorn fruit really that great, or is it great as a support? You feel me? Um, Killingham has an interesting fruit. You feel me? Apparently, he can snatch things out your dreams, or he can snatch entities out of your dreams that can do damage and kill you, but he cannot create food from your dreams that could actually fill you up. So the food he creates tastes good, but does nothing for the body. No supplements, gives you no energy, don't fill you up, nothing. It's just a nice taste. But he can make enemies from your dreams that can hurt you and kill you. I mean, if you can eat the food and taste it but not get anything from it, then I was thinking, okay, maybe these things can fuck you up all day, but they just can't kill you. But apparently that's not how the fuck it works. But hey, and then we know Gunko with the arrows, multi-purpose. Her, I'm gonna be a buck. Her fruit is not that great to me either. She just uses it in some good ways, okay? But really nothing special, in my opinion, about none of their fruits except for Killinghams. But yeah, let's dive into it. We're gonna flame up and then we're gonna get started. Y'all already know I'm gonna strictly narrate the first couple of pages of the chapter because I don't know how copy strike works yet. I'm still not that familiar with it. And then once we get a little bit so that way once we start getting to the good stuff or any good stuff, I can just show y'all can see that with me. And they can't say, oh, I'm showing the whole chapter. All right, so this week we have the Holy Inari Shrine Pilgrimage. We didn't get that last week. Thought I was tripping. The week before that, we got when Yamato came in and cleared motherfucking who's who shit. Yes, my name I kind of picked up from Who's Who on One Piece, okay? His Who's Who is WHOS. WHOS. My Who's Who is like Who's Houdini. So it's short for Who's Houdini. It's Who's Who. So that's WHOSHOU. Because if you know how to spell Houdini, it's spelled Houdini. So it's Who's Who. Let's take a look at that real quick, okay? Just so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Well, you can't see because I'm in the way. See if I can move me up real quick. All right, move me up real quick. And boom. Y'all see? Who's Who is my name. Yeah, I bit that man's style. So why am I so glad he got his ass knocked out? Because he was doing too much. And at the same time, there can only be one who's who. I'm sorry. We're gonna use another one because this shit be tripping. I'm supposed to be narrating to y'all anyway first. I gotta go to Manga Peel. Manga Peel, the only one that do me good. I'm some freaky ass ads up there sometimes, but Manga Peel do me good. All right, so yeah, why am I so happy that Who's Who finally got his shit knocked when Yamato hit his ass with that Thunder Baga? Because there can only be one Who's Who. Hit the blunt to that. There can only be one. Nigga, I beat you out your spot. You served your purpose. Your purpose you served was to give me the ideal for the name. And now that your purpose is served, Yamato took that motherfucking across your shit. All right, Only Child Yamato and the Holy Inari Shrine Pilgrimage, Value 29. Liberating the girls and Minamoto, the carpenter. Okay, that's his name. Minamoto. All right, so as y'all can see what's going on, Yamato cleared this shit last time, and they all thanking her, all the females that were prisoners, they thanking her. And the little girl, Toma, I think that's Toma. She is freeing the carpenter guy, and Who's Who on the floor knocked the fuck out. All right, so we pick up at the with the Adam Tree tour where we see Frankie and he's yelling, "What the hell is that?" And then we see Ripley. We see Ripley saying, "Well, what do you think that is?" Then we get a cut to what looks like a giant tree house building. And Ripley says, "This has always been here." Frankie says, "It's giving me scientific vibes." Ripley says, "Haha, I figured you of all people would appreciate it, being a cyborg and all." So let's get y'all to look at this, because I can't explain how that look. I can't explain to that. I can't describe that in words. So yeah, y'all see how it look. Frankie said it's giving scientific vibes. I can see that. I think I see a cannon on it. You feel me? I don't know. It doesn't look natural. Wonder how long that's been there. Huh, hit blunt again. Then Frankie continues to say, "Why would there be a facility like this in a country of warriors?" And then bloop, up goes Lilith and fucking Bonnie. We ain't seen them in a while. Lilith says, "Hey Frankie, you there?" She said, "Hey Frankie, you're here. I was just thinking I'd like to show you this place later." Bonnie also screams, it's awesome here, Frankie." Frankie is saying, "Lilith, Bonnie, what are you two doing here?" And then Lilith responds, "We got lost. Thanks for finding us," Bonnie says. Frankie says, "Guess even genius get lost." And then Ripley says, "It's good we found you. There was a horn blast earlier, though the woods might not be safe right now." And then Lilith says, "In any case, the facility is really stunning. I estimate this has been here for at least 3,000 years." Frankie says, "What? How did you calculate that? There's no way it's that old." And Ripley says, "We can't really refute the claim, honestly. Even we locals aren't sure about the origins of this building." So whatever that building was, Lilith Vegapunk says it's been there for about 3,000 years, and at least 3,000 years. And at this point in time, we know not to play with anything Vegapunk say. So let's hit blunt to that knowledge. Momoki. Lilith then says, "Now that's something worth researching. I think I'll make myself at home here." And then Frankie says, "You'll get lost again." "Well, I'm going to check it out for myself." And Bonnie is in shock. Somebody says, "What's wrong, Bonnie?" "Oh, I see why she in shock." So I was gonna say, "What the fuck she looking like that for?" And then we get a pan of the back spread behind Frankie and Lilith as Frankie was getting, I mean, Frankie and Ripley, I mean, as Frankie was getting ready to run to the castle to go, explore. We see the giant cloud dream thing that was created by Saint Killingham. And Bonnie screams, "Look out." And we see a little dialogue of one of the kids saying, "What I find most scary is thunder." And Bonnie's still screaming. She said, "There's something behind you." Frankie notices it. He said, "Oh man, this is unreal. Albas full of crazy stuff, huh?" Ripley says, she said, "No, that's not familiar. What kind of creature is that?" And then we cutting over to the Western Village now. And that's where the giant skeleton, the armor and shit was with the sword, shield, and the helmet was wrecking shit after he had swallowed the giant boat out the sky. And we see another bubble from one of the kids saying, what I find most scary is Draugr. So that's Draugr. That's what that giant skeleton is. I hope I'm saying that right. And somebody is screaming, "Sober up and grab your weapons." That fire, that fire, whatever was wrecked. It's not just a regular zombie. It's a Draugr. What could have brought the children's imaginations to life like this? Where are the chiefs? We're waiting on the orders. They drank too much. They still hold up in the privy. You're kidding? So the motherfucking chiefs and everybody, they drunk too much. They hit their ass at the right time. Y'all was celebrating too hard. They was getting too drunk, drinking that moonshine. Then we cut to Brooke. Brooke says this couldn't be more surreal. A giant me. He fucking funny as hell. Brooke is slow. So Brooke sees the giant skeleton dragger or dream tip thing, and he like, "Oh shit, this can't be more surreal. This a giant me." And then we get some of the giants going to the Straw Hats, specifically Usopp, Jinbei, Nami, and Brooke. And they say, "You visitors should fall back to the edge of the village. Should I carry you all there?" Usopp says, "Hey, you don't need to keep us at arm's length. We want to help fight." And Jinbei says, "You said that last bit a little too quietly. Either way, there's definitely something strange happening on this island." Then we hear somebody screaming, "That's enough, Colin." Motherfucking Scopper and Ripley's son somewhere causing trouble. And then we see what he's doing. He's pulling on one of the warriors and one of the teachers saying, "Why not? I'm a warrior too. I can fight." And the guy's telling him, "I just told you no." And then Colin saying, "I'm Gabon's son." And then he said, and that doesn't make you Gabon. Is what the guy responds to him. And he just shoved him off and said, "A battlefield's no place for a kid like you." Yeah, get your ass on, boy. You're not finna go do nothing. And then we see Elder Ja Rule, somebody screaming his name. Looks like it was Nami. He's saying, "What's wrong, Missy?" Nami says, "I'm sorry. There's something I didn't tell you before." And then Ja Rule is saying, "You're saying one of these intruders look just like Red Hair Shanks." And then they say, so whoever he's talking to says, "Yeah." And both of them were seriously strong. One of them had a really weird ability. Okay, so those are the two giant guys that got their ass beat up at the entrance to the underground. No, at the entrance to the royal palace, I mean. So they finally spilling the beans. And Jinbei says, "In this world, strange powers usually come from devil fruits. If it's an unknown element, odds are it's a devil fruit user." And then Elder Jarrell says, "Spread the word that there are two humans other than the Straw Hats on Elbath. Report back as soon as you find them." Got it right away. And then Brooks says, "Are you sure it's only two intruders? All this chaos suggests there could be more." Somebody says, "Right, get the word out." When we cut back to Nami, Usopp, Ja Rule, and Jinbe and Brook, it looks like Nami and Usopp are arguing. Nami says, "I don't know who's behind this or where they're hiding, but anyone who kidnapped children in broad daylight is nothing but scum." Usopp says, "If they're taking hostages, they must have something else planned for Elbath. They must have something else planned for Elbath," for I'm assuming what they were trying to say. So they not arguing, they just both pissed. And Usopp says, "I never heard of a kidnapping like this before." And then Elder Ja Rule says, "I won't let them get away with it." Yeah, it's fucked up. They kidnapping children. And if they die, they like, "Fuck it, we just gonna go snatch some more." And see how far they get before these fuckers save them. Hit blunt for the children. Hit blunts for the children. Hit it one more time. Alright, so we'll cut and let y'all view with me now. So Jinbei is saying, "We'll lend you a hand. We'll just need a human-sized ship too." Elder Ja Rule says, "Don't be ridiculous. You're our guest. You should hide, get somewhere safe." Somebody says, "Hey, wait a second. Where's Dory and Bragi?" Somebody says, they are still stuck in the privy. They seriously need to lay off the booze." If the culprits are human-sized, Jinbei says, "we better be suited to dealing with this." Usopp says, "That's right, the giants can take care of the big things. We should focus on the intruders." Brooke says, "Agreed, but Elbath is too big for us to search on foot." Damn sure is. Nami is looking off in the distance. She sees fucking Colin pulling a bag full of weapons, talking about some heave ho, heave ho. He said, "Huh, you want to come with me? I thought you were going to tell me to stop." All right then, but I get to be captain, and Nami says that's so cute. So Colin just pull up with his bag of stuff out of nowhere and just say, "Huh, you want to come with me? I thought you were going to tell me to stop. I don't think nobody said nothing to you." He says, "All right, but I get to be the captain." Oh, 'cause he got him a little mini boat, so he was gonna go anyway, and they letting his ass come with them. Y'all looking for the fucking human-sized intruders, which are devil fruit users, and y'all taking his kid with y'all. Y'all could have just hijacked his boat. And he says, "Let's go, calling pirates, set sail." And then Usopp screams, "Hey, you're too big." He said, "Hey, you're big enough to row." And then Colin screams, "Onward." So he got they little ass rowing the boat. We get a cut to Gunko with a dialogue bubble that says, "All warriors in the Sun Realm, please be advised. There was a confirmed sighting of humans other than the Straw Hats earlier at the Aldous Castle." Ois Castle. Was that Ois or Aldous? Ois, I guess. Consider them hostile and dangerous. And then the Holy Knights, as you guys see, they still sitting down at this table enjoying dinner. Somebody says somebody's laughing and saying it's Gunko's post-meal ritual. Gunko says it's not a ritual, I just like it. And then Summer says, "That's right, we should have a singing contest. You're," he says, "you're out if you mess up." Killingham says, "It's nice having a hobby. What's your favorite song?" Gunko says New World. So whatever the fuck New World is her favorite song. Summer says, "You got a problem with the current one?" Killingham then says, "You shouldn't mock the interests of others, Summer." Then Summer says, "Ah, my bad. Anyways, looky over there. That grown up is going all out trying to save these kids." Talking about Saul, as we see Saul is now in front of the kids with a bunch of shield. He got two shields, and he's saying, now there ain't no way they can stab me. They ain't going nowhere." And then Chopper and motherfucking Robin hyping them up on that. "You got this, Saul," type tip. So the kids walking, they getting closer. Saul says the kids are just following this cloth, right? But it's heading straight for the flames. They'll die if I don't stop them. All right, so it looks like the kid did stop at the shield. All right, they stopped, but now they bumping into each other and they pricking each other. That's so fucked up. And now he's saying, "What now? If I stop one, they all start pricking each other." That's disgusting. Who could do such a thing? Yeah, I feel you, Robin. Who could do such a thing? Them fucking holy knights. And then Robin says, "Saul, it must be the works of a fruit ability. They have to be close by." I'm confused on I'm confused on don't why Robin don't just use her hands. They can get enough shields and put a shield between each student, and then Saul can stop them again. So now they ain't bumping into each other. They all bumping into shields. Robin got the perfect fucking devil fruit ability to help out in a situation like this. Why ain't she doing shit? It's a devil fruit ability. They have to be close by. And then Saul says, the kids will reach the fire before we found them. We can't let that happen. And he's lassoing up a rope. Looks like he's spinning that bitch around his head. He throw it. It goes around the kid, the last kid behind the line. If we can't stop the ones in the front, then we'll start with the ones in the back. Saul lasso one. He said, yes, he's out of line. If I can stop the rest one by one. And then the fucking Fenrir pops up. The Fenrir dream tip comes out of nowhere. Saul says, no way. He said they're actually controlling these monsters too. Who's behind this? Then I guess we cut back to the school. We see somebody saying, Principal, it's not just the Western Village. The other villages are reporting monster sightings. They're appearing all over Elbath. It must be some kind of ability. We need to find them fast, says Principal Boris. Then we cut back over to the Western Village outskirts. I didn't think draggers were real. So we got some giants fighting a dragger over here. Fuck that, I'm not reading that. Then we cut over and we see some other giants fighting the giant dragon. You setting some motherfuckers on fire. And then we got a bunch of giants. Yeah, they facing off with the dragon and a little ghost thing with a hat. The Nidhogger and the ghost. Okay, here we go. And then we see two weapons fly in the air. And we see Ready Dory. Absolutely, Bragi. So you see the dragon, the Nighthogger, and the ghost, you feel me, terrorizing the giants. And Dory and Bragi getting ready to save the day. You ready, Dory? Absolutely, Bragi. Hakoku sovereignty. And they do the same thing they did to the kid pirates, and they blast that motherfucking ghost and that dragon to fucking hell. This is the whatever mode of our mighty ship, the great Eric. You monsters are in for it now. We'll get you for making us waste our booze. Okay, okay. So everybody's celebrating Dorian Bragi showing up. And then Dorian Bragi says, sorry we're late. We had to barf up all the booze that was wasted. And then so yeah, Dorian Bragi says, sorry we're late. We had to barf up all the booze that was wasted. Leave the beast to us. You guys take care of the kids. And then we see Scopper Caban. He shows up and says, no, somebody says Mountain Eater Yasan. That ship's basically invincible now. I don't see him on the ship, but apparently he's there. Okay, wonderful chapter. Not too much going on. They dedicated to saving the kids. Ooh, color spread to celebrate the anime's return in the next season. So next issue, next issue we're gonna get a color spread, and there's no break. I don't get much to say about this chapter, honestly. Just more of what's going on in Elbath right now, and the situation getting worse. The kids getting closer to the fire. They finding ways to try to stop the kids. Robin, why don't you use your hands? But that's a different story. We didn't see any of Luffy, Zoro, and Loki in this chapter. Uh, lore drop, we got a building or a structure in Elbath that's at least 3,000 years old. It looks scientific. I wonder what they could have been doing there, what it was for. Um, I have no clue, no theory as to what they could have been using it for. I have no idea what Elbath's history could be with technology. Maybe that's where the ancient robots were being created at. Maybe that's where those giant ancient robots was being created. So, wonderful chapter. Like I said, can't wait till next week. I'm signing out on this one. You guys have a wonderful day.